Okay, going for my second ride with the Vado. It's December 26th. I hope everybody had a good Christmas. I'm going to take this up to speed a little bit. Get out on the main road. It's about 41 degrees here in Canton, Ohio, the home of the Football Hall of Fame. I am going to take a little ride down to a city called Massillon, Ohio. Massillon's known quite well for its football. In fact, this whole area is big football country. Obviously why they have the Football Hall of Fame about 5 miles from here. One of these days I'll do a vlog over there to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, which I have only been to once, believe it or not. I think it's like anything else. When you've got it next door to you, it's no big deal. I do remember the day somebody had taken O.J. Simpson's bust, and later on, I think maybe later that week, a construction worker up in Cleveland was doing some work, I think an ODOT crew member, and he thought he spotted a body alongside the road. And here what it was O.J.'s bust. So whoever had it stole it from here and took it north. And obviously maybe that bust became a hot potato and they pitched it out. So it's kind of funny. So that was during that whole hoopla about O.J. and the trial and all that stuff. So nice day out. Again for December 26th in northeastern Ohio. Can't really complain. I've got to watch my gas. I'm down to about a quarter of a tank, but I don't know if I want to fill it with the winter months here. Still trying to determine if the Vado's at the proper pitch. Seems like it's pitched a little more down than what I'm used to with the helmet cam. I have basically a contour clone I've used on my prior videos on YouTube. And again, the videos are very good. Nice field of view by 120 degrees. I'm not sure what this Vado is. I think this Vado may be 90. Now I'm hearing a lot of wind, and it's probably I assume it's probably getting through to the Vado. Modular helmets, I've read modular helmets tend to be a little noisier than, say, a full-face solid helmet. I can tell you they're not near as windy as a three-quarters helmet, which is what my other helmet is. So this is a good test. I'm hitting some pretty good, not tremendous winds, but I was doing about 45 miles an hour, and again, it's going to be interesting to see what the video sounds, or the audio sounds like. That's the whole purpose of doing this, was for the audio. If it was simply video, I would just stick with that helmet cam. I have a remote with that helmet cam that I sit on the scoop, and it makes it nice. The only negative with that is I'm not sure when it's on or not. I went on one of my ACW scooter club rides. I actually thought when I thought the camera was on, it was off, vice versa. I was able to get some decent video, but that's the only negative. It gives me no indication. I hear a small beep, but sometimes you don't always hear it. That just basically indicates the remote is signaling to the camera. This concept is much better because I can actually, the Vado's right in front of me. And when I turn the Vado on, it goes from a sort of a green to a red little display that says, I think it says record or something like that. Okay. Problem with these Chinese scoots, they are very inaccurate on their speed. This says I'm doing 50 miles per hour, and trust me, I'm probably at best doing about 43 to maybe 45, but this thing indicates way over speed. It's a good 10%. I did gauge it by my GPS, and that was obviously the faster you go, the more inaccurate it is. When I took it on the expressway, where the GPS had me at about 54, 55, the scoot was telling me I was doing 64. I mean, that's ridiculous that the Chinese can't manufacture a speedometer that's accurate. I never had that problem on the Kimco. I never had that problem on my 400 Bergman. You know, on some of these, I know scootdog.com, you got a lot of defenders with the Chinese scoots. That's fine if you don't have a budget for a Bergman. That's why I bought this temporarily. But there's no way in hell these Chinese scoots have near the quality the Taiwanese or the Japanese scooter manufacturers. Obviously, Vespas are in a class themselves. Extreme quality in a Vespa. We have one of our members has a Vespa, so it's extreme quality, but you do pay for it. Okay, we're technically entering right here would be Massillon, Ohio. Again, this will be a good test with the wind noise. I almost forgot how noisy this damn helmet is. It is a little cold. I'm not quite dressed for the polar bear challenge. I do have my insulated riding jacket with the armor in it, and I'm wearing a sweater underneath it. I do have gloves, but I'm just wearing regular corduroy pants, so I don't plan on being out that long, so it's not a problem. I did forget my scarf, so my neck is a little cool right now. That sun does make it feel good, though. It feels good to be riding the scoot. We try to work in, with my scooter club, we try to work in as many rides as we can. And those are far and few between during get to these colder winter months. Again, this is would be north part of Massillon, Ohio. I'm sure many of us vloggers and scooter motorcycle riders that ride on these little cooler days, I know some of these cagers are probably looking at us thinking, geez, what's wrong with those guys on the two-wheeler, you know? So I think if you're dressed appropriately, it's fun. My wife still doesn't understand the polar bear challenge or anything like that. I'm still a little leery of riding in any temperature below freezing, and obviously that's for the fact that there could possibly be ice. Even though the roads look clear, you could have some liquid spill on the road, and all of a sudden you have a patch of ice. And I don't care how good you are. I've been riding probably about 40 years now. I don't care how good you are. You hit a patch of ice, and it's just you're praying for hope, because most cases you're going to go down if it's a significant stretch of ice. Maybe a short patch, you could, as long as you're not braking, you might be able to get through it. But I just don't. There's no need to take chances. That's my opinion. I'm a fair weather rider. Okay, I'm going to make a right here. This is McKinley Avenue, Tuscarora Street in Massillon. This is the main drag. 172, I think this road at one time. I think this was called the Lincoln, part of the Lincoln Highway, I think, if I remember. That was years ago before they had the interstates. And I'm old enough to remember, I'm 54 years old, when they built Interstate 77 in Ohio. I was a kid I lived in Akron. I remember the big steam shovels doing the excavating for Interstate 77. I remember the big culverts. They must have been 10, 12 feet high going in them as a kid. Hard to believe. I guess we have to thank President Eisenhower for our interstate system. I think back in the 50s they allocated, my memory serves me correctly, like $50 billion, which would have been a heck of a lot of money back then. But that was literally that money was set aside for the entire interstate system. So I can't imagine it would be many trillions of dollars to replace our entire interstate system. I forget how many hundreds of thousands of miles that would be, but I wouldn't want to pay for it. Although sometimes I think I am when I look at my taxes. If you make any decent money, they squeeze the crap out of you. And of course, my children are all adults now, but I really never even qualified for the child tax credit. Again, if you're making any decent money, they're gonna that's all phased out. I think anything above 75, 80,000 is phased out. Okay, downtown Massillon. We are coming up to Route 21, State Route 21. It is a highway. I can't be gone too long. I got to get back home. We just crossed over State Route 21. We're heading west. It's about 3:42. Again, if that's my Chinese clock on the scooter, which tends to run a little fast, believe it or not. About 2-3 minutes a week. Nothing terrible. I mean, it's the least of my worries on this thing. But this is a 257cc JCL Chinese scooter. It has the Yamaha Linhai engine. One terrible design on this engine is the engine is actually part of the suspension. And when you bring the center stand up, the center stand has a little 2 bars and a little rubber roller. And that roller rolls across the engine. When I purchased this scooter used from a Honda Suzuki dealer, I won't mention who it is, they didn't do crap to this thing. I think they were glad I was a big enough sucker to buy it from them. I traded in a 150 Kemco on this, and they wanted me to give them $800 in the Kemco. I think they should have given me $800 and threw this thing in. The Kemcos are of much higher value. So anyway, I've had to rewire parts of this scooter. Cheap Molex connectors. But the second week I had this, it stranded me. I had some work done at a local scooter shop, and you know what? I think it was the headlights went out. Yeah, but the first week I had this, the headlights just went out. There was one evening I'm riding along, and I have everybody flashing their high beams at me, and I'm thinking, what the hell is this? So I noticed it's kind of dark. Here I had no headlights. Everything else worked. Instrument panels, turn signals. So I didn't really want to mess with it then. So I took it down to a local scooter shop. Here they found a broken wire. So $200 later, I picked the thing up. I'm happy as my daughter drops me off. I'm happy as happy as a kid in a candy store. So as I'm going home, I'm riding along like this. I stop and the damn thing dies on me. So I start it again. It dies on me. Fortunately, I was smart enough to pull it on a side road, and it wouldn't start. So, and my daughter had my cell phone in her car. So I'm in the middle of a major street looking for my daughter. Fortunately, she drives past. I'm waving my hands like a lunatic. The last second, she does that Terminator move where she turns the head and sees me. It was just so funny. And so I tell her to go home and get the jumper cable. So we jumped the scooter. I got it running, went about another mile, stalled again. So finally I got it home. I was pissed. So I went back to the scooter shop. I said, what the hell could be going on here? He says, I don't know. Why don't you bring it in? So I said, hell with it. I'm going to tear this damn thing apart. I don't have money to throw around like that. So I did some detective work, and good thing everybody should have a multimeter. I had a suspicion. I thought at first it was the stator. I knew it had to do something with the battery. You would charge the battery, and the scooter was literally living off the battery. So finally, I tore the plastic off on the right side, and I checked the rectifier, and I noticed it was getting about 37 volts AC. And I said, that's strange. It's getting voltage to the rectifier. What's going on? So beyond the rectifier, I see the problem. I see a Molex connector, and it's partially melted. What had happened is there was a short in the Molex connector, so nothing beyond the rectifier was getting to the battery. So I rewired that. I just tore the damn Molex connector off and just straight wired it, thinking, I'm not worried about having a Molex connector at that point. And it's been running fine for, 10,000 miles now. I've got about 12,000, actually I have 13,000, almost 13.3 on this scooter, which I think I should get an award for having that many miles on a Chinese scooter. You get on eBay or Craigslist, it's kind of funny. You don't see any Chinese scooters with much above 2,000 miles on them. It's funny. You go to buy a Bergman, I see them with 60,000, 70,000. We have one member, it's I think over 80,000 miles on his Bergman. So don't tell me these Chinese scooters are quality. They're not. So just through the grace of my mechanic skills, and I'm not a mechanic, but I've been keeping this thing going. So, and I know all about the PDI crap, but I never argument I get on the blogs, but I never had to do that stuff with the Bergman. All I did with the Bergman was put oil in it. Had that for about 3 years, and sold it on eBay to a fellow from New England, and the thing was pristine shape. Didn't have a scratch on it. So he was, I think I got a fair price for it. The Bergmans do hold their value a little more than these things do. So I am going to make a right up here. I'm working my way back home through Canal Fulton, Ohio. We have the Erie Canal here in Ohio. And back in the late 1800s, the mid 1800s, that was a form of transportation and logistics for towns from the north to the northern Ohio to the south. And the Erie Canal runs through Canal Fulton, runs through down through Bolivar, Ohio, and runs all the way up to actually Cleveland. And what's nice with having the towpath close to you is they have really nice bike paths. So I take my wife and we take our bicycles and ride the towpath. They call it the towpath here. It's obviously very level because it's next to the where the canal was, and they generally tried to follow the Tuscarawas River. Obviously, where the river is, it's pretty level. So that's generally what they did. That was quite a business back then. They had, on some of these locks, they had hotels, little motels, and they had bed and breakfasts near the locks, and people would get on these big canal boats. I'm going to try to take a video as we go through Canal Fulton of if they have one of the canal boats out. I think it's the St. Helena. They're pretty big. You could probably get, I don't know, 50, 60 people on them. So I'm going to go ahead and shut this video off for a second here. Okay. I turned the camera back on. I am entering Canal Fulton, Ohio. Just passed over Route 21 again. There's the sign. Okay. We are approaching the towpath down through here. Okay, there, Canal Fulton canoe livery. There is the canal boat. And I'll turn here. There's a car in back of me. I don't know how that, looking in the sun. Let me go over here. Okay, that is a canal boat, as you can see. You can see the style's pretty, it's very old, very square, very shallow bottom because the canals weren't generally that deep. I'm going to lift this visor up. I do see some steam forming, so. Okay, I'm going to turn this video off, and again, this was my second try of the Vado in helmet. Mr. Polymers, I wish I had a moniker as neat as Smyrna Cowboy, but anyway, Mr. Polymers is signing off.